Have you ever found yourself in a moment of quiet where it feels like the world is bustling on without you? That nagging feeling, the sense of being left behind can be overwhelming. You reach out, trying to connect with others, but those bonds feel fragile and start to break. There's a deafening silence that seems to shout your loneliness back at you. In those moments, you might wonder, why is Allah pulling me away from everyone? Why this solitude? My dear brothers and sisters, I urge you to reframe your thinking. This isolation you feel isn't a form of punishment from Allah, it's a divine preparation. Allah isolates the ones He chooses to refine their souls, protect their hearts, and guide them towards something far greater than they can imagine. Today we will explore the 7 profound reasons why Allah isolates those He has chosen, reasons that carry wisdom often overlooked. As we journey through this together, I invite you to deeply ponder this question: what if this loneliness signifies Allah calling you closer to Him, away from the clamor of the world? Let's delve into this enlightening message and uncover how your current isolation might be the greatest blessing of your life. Isolation serves to protect your heart. The first reason Allah isolates you is to protect your heart. Have you ever noticed that when you're surrounded by others, it becomes easy to lose sight of what truly matters? The constant stream of conversations, comparisons, and sometimes even toxic influences can easily sway you away from your core values and beliefs. There are times when Allah, in His infinite wisdom, pulls you away, not to punish you, but to shield your heart from distractions that could tarnish its purity. Think of your heart as a precious gem. To maintain its brilliance, you keep it away from anything that might scratch or dull it. This is how Allah sees your heart. He recognizes its potential and wishes to preserve it. Imagine this scenario. You find yourself surrounded by friends or acquaintances who subtly undermine your faith or encourage you to stray from it. You may find yourself compromising your beliefs little by little without even realizing it. Then, out of nowhere, those same people drift away, leaving you confused and perhaps even hurt. But upon reflection, isn't it true that this was Allah's mercy in action, saving you from a connection that could harm your relationship with Him? It may be difficult to see the situation clearly in the moment, but this distance is an act of divine love. It's an opportunity for you to reset, purify your intentions, and realign your heart solely with Allah. This isolation serves as a gentle reminder of Allah's words. So do not weaken and do not grieve, and you will be superior if you are true believers. The sense of loneliness you experience is not meaningless. It is in fact a sacred space for Allah to fill with His love, guidance, and peace. Isolation is a process of refining your character. The second reason Allah may be isolating you is to refine your character. You might have noticed that during the times you start working on yourself, the distractions of the outside world tend to fade. It's almost as if Allah is consciously removing the noise that often clouds your judgment and pulls you away from focusing on your personal growth. When you're surrounded by constant chatter, the opinions of others, and unhealthy relationships, it becomes nearly impossible to hear your own thoughts, let alone engage in a deep conversation with Allah. Solitude peels away the layers of distraction, forcing you to confront your true self and identify what genuinely matters in your life. Have you ever found yourself in those quiet, uncomfortable moments of solitude, suddenly realizing aspects of yourself that you've been reluctant to face? Maybe there's a habit you've been ignoring or a vulnerability you've hidden. Understand that Allah isolates you not as a form of punishment, but as a means to aid your growth. Consider the beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who frequently withdrew to the cave of Hira before receiving divine revelation. Those moments spent in isolation were not just physical separations, they served as profound spiritual preparations. In the same manner, your own moments of solitude may very well be Allah's way of preparing you for something extraordinary. However, let's be honest, it's not always easy. Sometimes solitude feels heavy, even painful. You may ponder why individuals who once played significant roles in your life suddenly seem distant. Understand this. Some people are merely seasonal companions, while others enter your life to impart essential lessons before moving on. And that's perfectly okay. This principle of life serves as a reminder. The discomfort that comes from being alone is temporary, but the clarity and strength it provides can remain with you for a lifetime. In those quiet moments, you learn to rely solely on Allah, without seeking validation or companionship from others. You will begin to understand that your worth is not tied to how others view you, but lies in your relationship with your Creator. So, have you ever perceived your isolation as an injustice or a sign that you're doing something wrong? It is neither. Rather, it's Allah actively crafting you into the individual He designed you to be. Salam strengthens your relationship with Allah. The third profound reason for your isolation is that Allah uses it to strengthen your relationship with Him. Have you ever felt as though no one can truly understand your struggles? You try to share your experiences, but the responses you receive just don't resonate. That feeling you're experiencing is not coincidental. It's a divine invitation to draw closer to Allah. During times of ease, we often lean on friends, family, and even material comforts for support. However, in solitude, when those crutches are stripped away, you're left with the one who has always been there for you, Allah. I ask you this, how many times have your prayers poured forth from your heart with tears cascading down your face precisely when you felt entirely alone? Isolation creates a deep sense of reliance on Allah, almost like He is saying, "Come to me, let me be sufficient for you." But let's distinguish this. It doesn't mean you should isolate yourself from the community of believers. Islam inherently promotes unity, and the strength of our community hinges on the bonds shared among its members. What I'm discussing here is a spiritual journey, a personal transformation that enhances your ability to contribute to that unity in a much more profound way. Consider the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He underwent profound moments of loneliness, be it in the cave of Hira, on the battlefields, or in the face of adversities in Makkah. Those moments were not about alienation, they were aimed at preparation. Through these experiences, he emerged as a unifying leader of the Ummah under the banner of Re Leon, Musa. Your isolation represents a path of similar purpose. It does not mean severing ties permanently. Instead, it signifies a brief retreat to recharge, realign, and reconnect with Allah. When you eventually re-enter the community, you do so equipped with a renewed sense of purpose and willingness to uplift others. If you're feeling alone in this moment, let it serve as a reminder this isn't an abandonment of fellowship, but an opportunity to focus on strengthening your foundation. A fortified foundation enables you to unite with others more effectively and to raise them up with you. Isolation serves as a training ground. The fourth reason we may find ourselves in isolation is to act as a training ground for growth. Have you noticed that almost every time you're on the brink of significant development, something or someone seems to disappear from your life? It could be a friendship you believed would last forever, or a steadfast support system you relied upon. They suddenly vanish, leaving you to ponder why. It's crucial to understand that isolation is not rejection. It is in reality a form of refinement. During these times, Allah removes distractions and attachments that could hinder your progress. He places you in a situation that sharpens your focus and teaches you lessons that comfort and familiarity would never convey. Think about the story of Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him. When he was cast into the well by his brothers, he found himself utterly isolated and stripped of family support. However, that isolation wasn't scorn, it was preparation. In the silence of that well, and later in prison, Yusuf was being molded into an extraordinary leader. The man who emerged from those trials was not merely a survivor, he was imbued with wisdom, resilience, and unwavering faith. Reflect on your own life. What if the challenges and isolation you are facing right now serve as your own training ground? What if Allah is preparing you for something magnificent that is beyond your current understanding? Let's acknowledge this together. Losing relationships, facing silence, and experiencing feelings of abandonment can stir emotions that make you question your self-worth. But bear in mind, diamonds are forged under immense pressure, and the finest swords are shaped in fire. The struggles born from isolation are the tools that Allah employs to carve you into a better version of yourself. Instead of rushing to fill the silence with fleeting distractions, use this time to reflect inwardly and connect with Allah. Ask yourself, what is Allah teaching me through this phase? A shift in perspective can transform isolation from a burden into a blessing. When you emerge from this season of solitude, you will realize that your isolation was never intended to break you. It was designed to build you into a stronger individual capable of embracing your purpose. Allah's plan requires patience. Fifth, let's discuss the importance of patience in Allah's plan. Do you sometimes feel like your life is stuck in a rut, as if you are watching others flourish while you seem to remain in place? That frustration can be palpable, can't it? But I want you to remember this: Allah's delays are not denials. There are times when He places you in isolation because He is preparing something extraordinary, undoubtedly beyond what you can currently envision. The waiting period is not useless. It is an essential segment of the path forward. Think of it as a cocoon. Just as a caterpillar must endure stagnation to later emerge as a magnificent butterfly, your isolation signifies a phase of transformation. Reflect on the journey of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him. Before he was appointed to lead the children of Israel, he spent years in exile, tending to sheep in the wilderness. To many, this may have appeared as a step back, but in truth, it was precisely the training he needed to fulfill his divinely appointed role. Consider this. What if the waiting you're experiencing is indeed where Allah is working most fervently in your life? What if this time of silence is about strengthening your faith, honing your skills, and removing distractions that would impede your progress? Patience does not signify passiveness. It is an active trust in Allah's timing. This waiting phase is an opportunity to build yourself spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, preparing you for the moment Allah has designed just for you. Remember that Allah knows the perfect timing for each event. What you may perceive as a delay is in reality part of His divine design. That pause, It's not punishment, but preparation. It's an invitation to deepen your connection with Allah while you wait for the next beautiful chapter of your life to unfold. Isolation purifies your intentions. We often find that sixth reason for our isolation is to refine our intentions. Being alone can feel like an unbearable weight at times. The quiet can become overwhelming, causing you to question everything in your life. However, hidden within that solitude is a priceless opportunity. Isolation is where Allah purifies your intentions. When surrounded by people, their opinions, judgments, and expectations can cloud your heart. You might find yourself completing tasks to seek approval, perhaps unconsciously, and the essence of why you do things can begin to muddle. But when Allah pulls you away from the noise, consider it His invitation to reflect earnestly. Who are you truly trying to please? Is your focus on people or solely on Allah? Take the example of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. When he was isolated from his people, facing rejection for his unwavering faith in Allah, his solitude became the foundation of his strength. There were no external influences to sway him. He focused purely on earning Allah's pleasure. His period of isolation wasn't a punishment, it was a gift that allowed his faith to radiate brilliantly. Now let's reflect on our lives. How often do we get ensnared by the expectations of others? How frequently do we allow the opinions around us to dictate our self-worth? When in isolation, Allah offers you the chance to liberate yourself from this trap. Imagine if no one were watching, would you still pray with the same fervor? Would you still give charity? Would you still strive to improve? Isolation has a way of illuminating your true intentions, stripping away the distractions until you are left facing your sincerity. So the next time you feel alone, view it as a time when Allah is meticulously refining your heart, preparing you to act purely for His sake rather than for the applause of others. That is where your true strength lies. Isolation prepares you for your unique role. Lastly, the seventh reason Allah isolates you is that He is preparing you for your unique role. When Allah places you in solitude, it's not without purpose. He is shaping you for a mission that only you can fulfill, using silence and loneliness as tools in His grand design to cultivate something extraordinary within you. Reflect on the story of Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, who was cast into a well by his brothers, sold into slavery, and unjustly imprisoned. His isolation was no coincidence. Every moment was a preparation for him to rise as a leader who would save countless people from famine. The time he spent away from the world wasn't a curse. It was essential training for his destiny. Now consider your own life. Do you sometimes feel like your path is dramatically different from everyone else's, bearing a weight that feels too heavy to uphold? This sensation may arise because your journey is uniquely yours. Allah isn't isolating you to break you. Rather, He is crafting you to prepare for a vital role that no one else can undertake. Maybe you're being strengthened to become the rock for your family, a beacon of guidance in your community, or even a source of inspiration for others who may face the same adversities you've conquered. The world needs individuals who have traversed difficult paths, those who have endured the flames of loneliness and emerged stronger and wiser. Think about it. The most resilient steel is forged in the hottest fires. Your isolation is not a punishment. It's a process designed by Allah, indicating that you are being molded for something far greater than you can comprehend. It's crucial to trust this process. The next time you feel disconnected from the world, I urge you to remember that this is not the end of your story. It's the inception of a new chapter. One where your strength and faith will shine so brightly that others will be inspired by your journey. As we come to the conclusion of this profound exploration into the meanings of isolation, let us remember together, isolation is not a punishment, it's an intricate preparation. It's Allah's way of elevating, refining, and bringing you closer to His essence. Each tear you shed, every moment of loneliness you endure, and each silent prayer you utter is part of a divine plan, crafting you into the person Allah knows you can become. Reflecting on the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who spent time in the solitude of the cave of Hira, away from the din of the world, reminds us that it was during this isolation that he received the first revelation, an event that would change the course of humanity forever. Your own experiences of isolation may very well be the prelude to a momentous transformation in your life. I encourage you to take a moment to reflect and share your thoughts in the comments below. A simple phrase like "I love Allah" can resonate deeply and inspire others who are navigating similar paths. Let's foster a community of support as we endeavor to understand the wisdom Allah has in store for us. Before you leave, I recommend watching the video suggested at the end of this one. It's another life-changing topic that will complement what we've discussed today. Click on it to take the next step toward unraveling Allah's wisdom in your life. May Allah guide us, strengthen our faith, and turn our trials into opportunities for drawing closer to Him. Until we meet again, peace be upon you and the mercy of Allah.